What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, and just like clockwork, when we leave the studio, big things happen, and we got a Mr. Bombastic from West Ham. We've got a Mr. Bombastic from David Ornstein, and we've got those three beautiful words from Fabrizio Romano. You already know Mateus Fernandez looks like he's going to be the next one through the door at Tottenham Hotspur. And it is beautiful, people. We'll get into the nitty-gritties of the deal very shortly. But David Ornstein first, exclusive. Tottenham Hotspur win the race to sign Mateus Fernandes from West Ham. Spurs submitted the highest proposal, believed to be £85 million guaranteed, and the 21-year-old West Ham midfielder opted to join Tottenham. Numbers were beyond Manchester United, what they were willing to go. And Fabrizio Romano, Tottenham agreed club record deal for Mateus Fernandes. Here we go. Agreement in place, 85 million fixed fee as West Ham accept the price they've always asked for. 100% guaranteed, as David Ornstein reports. Man United will now focus on other targets. And as a wise man once said, it's like giving a bone to a lion or something. What did he say? It's like giving a...
it's like a dog taking a bone from a lion.
Well, how's that, Mr. Mark Goldbridge? Now, how's that? You've been little broed.
The meltdowns in the Man United fan base have been beautiful to see, I have to say. I think everyone, all the Man United fans, even though the deal has been kind of in the offing for a few days, they're still kind of in shock. They can never quite believe that Spurs have actually hijacked a deal from under their noses and actually gazumped them. And also, they've done it by just paying more money, which is just so unheard of for Tottenham Hotspur to be pumping this kind of fee on a player. It is going to be a club record fee for Mateus Fernandes. I think it's a phenomenal signing. You know, in terms of a piece of business, look, regardless of how good you think the player is, I do think 85 million is a steep price, and I think we're paying. I'm quite shocked. We're paying 85 million fixed fee for Mateus Fernandes, but there's no getting around. I think he's a great player. I think he's got potential to be one of the top midfielders in the league. I think he's not quite there yet, but I think you can see it every time you watch him for West Ham. He's always kind of head and shoulders above all the West Ham players. I think he's exactly the kind of midfielder we've been missing at the heart of our midfield for a number of years. Someone who's brave on the ball, technical, but also has that physicality as well, that biting the challenge. He marries the two in such a fantastic way. And I think, yeah, we've paid 85 million. We've probably overpaid for him. But you know what? We've got the player. He's going to be lining up in a Tottenham shirt next season, not a Man United shirt. And that's the most important thing. If he's a success, if in a few years' time, you know, if we're talking about a player who's been starring in our midfield, we're not going to be caring about how much we overpaid. All we're going to care about is getting to see great performances in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt. And I'm so delighted that we've got this over the line. But I think more important, well, not more importantly, but I think just as importantly is kind of what this kind of deal represents for where we're heading, what kind of Tottenham we're going to see in the transfer market now in the future, and the fact that we're able to outbid Man United when they were very strongly in for the players. Not as if they've kind of it wasn't like they were kind of half interested. This was their number one target. They were ahead of us as well. They started negotiating in this deal way ahead of us, Spurs. Everyone thought there's no real point going for him because he's going to go to Man United, and we've muscled in, used our financial powers to get this deal done. And look, it's taken a pretty penny, but it looks like we're going to get our man, and I couldn't be happier.
When has the last time, I don't think it's ever happened, where we've been able just to throw our weight around that financial muscle that we've been talking about for so long? It is fantastic. And this is the great Manchester United, the big Manchester United, the behemoth that is Manchester United. You know, if Man United were ever coming in a bidding war with us before, we would run away. We would be that little cat, you know what I mean? Running into the corner, hiding, saying, no, we don't want to get in a scrap with you.
Well, forget that. They used to take our best players. That's exactly. That used to be the relationship. Now we're taking their targets.
We are flexing our muscles. We are showing that we are a big club. We're acting like a big club. I told you already. I told you I don't care about how much it costs. Get the players that you want. Get your targets through the door. And don't go for third or fourth targets when there's a bidding war or another team comes in. Go and get your first targets. Go and get what the manager wants. And this is what we're doing right now. It's got to be Tonali next. He's got to be the next one through the door. But I'm delighted that we've taken Mateus Fernandes off the noses of Manchester United. And don't forget, they were the ones first in for him. They were in for him for a long time, but they started doing the groundwork like 2 months ago on Mateus Fernandes. And we have swooped in, we have flexed our muscles, and it is a sign of things to come. It is. 85 million is significant. You're talking about 85 million fixed. It's not even bonuses, add-ons, nothing. Like, look, I agree with you. It is an overpayment. There's no two ways about it. It's an overpayment. But sometimes when you want to get the player, you got to overpay. Man City found that out with signing Elliot Anderson just now. You know, you're telling me Elliot Anderson is a £116 million player right now? I don't think so. You know, so.
When there's competition, when there's other clubs involved, and also not only is there competition, but we're not in the strongest position right now as a like in terms of the footballing standards of the club after 2 17th place finishes. You've got to use whatever leverage you can, and the only leverage right now we had is not like you. I understand, Tottenham are in some areas an attractive club, London, maybe he wanted to stay in London and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of the real kind of what we had over Man United, what did we have right now? They're probably a bigger club. They got Champions League football. Well, the only card we could play is financials, right? The only card we play is, okay, we'll just pay you higher. We'll give you a bigger wage. We'll give better terms to West Ham, and that'll maybe sway in our favour to get the deal done. And it seems as though we've used whatever advantage we can to get this deal done. And I agree with you. Like, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day how much you pay. If he's your number one choice, then it doesn't really matter how much you pay. If he's the one who you're convinced to get the deal over the line and he's going to really improve your team and be a game changer for you, then it doesn't really matter. What's more important is getting him in the team. That's the most important thing. And it's always going to be the case that when there's competition for a player like Fernandez, and when there's other clubs involved who have obviously, got who've got a lot to offer, we've got to have something to offer ourselves. And then what we had to offer was money, and we used it. So I've got no problem with it.
Yeah, exactly. And I gotta say this. SZY heard from Spurs, Sidon, and I think Himothy as well. I'm not sure if
Himothy, he was involved a bit, yeah.
All four of them, they stuck to their guns, even when it looked doubtful, it looked like it wasn't happening. They said, I'm confident, this deal is happening. Everyone was mocking them on social media. They're saying, come out of hiding this, and they stuck to their guns. They said, this always is happening. And here we are. It's happening. So anyone that is calling those guys frauds have egg on their faces right now, because they have called it straight from the off.
They called it 6 days ago. The Spurs journal and SZY said verbal agreement 6 days ago. And look where we are. They beat Ornstein and Romano to the punch, which is madness. This is where we are in 2026. We've got ITKs beating the likes of Ornstein and Romano to massive bombers. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, we'll forget like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. They're the 4 horsemen of the transfer window. It's absolutely fantastic. Fair play to them. They did stick to their guns. And also, like in the last few days, obviously, look, they're getting information and they're going to stand by it. But in the last few days, there was little rumblings about Man United coming back into it. Even today, even an hour ago, I think the Evening Standard had just posted an article saying that Man United set to bid today and to bid Tottenham to the punch. And yet, SZY and Spurs were just like, well, that's not what we've heard. We've heard that Tottenham are very confident this deal was being agreed, and they were like, we're not shaken by any of these other updates from they are, I guess you can call them journalists now, but from reputable journalists, mainstream newspapers. So fair play to them. They got the scoop very early on that Spurs were very confident on this, and so it's come to pass. It looks like we're going to get our man. So incredible. I think we're all going to be following. Well, we have been following their updates, but I think they're probably going to get a boost in followers after this transfer, because I've seen not just Spurs fans, I've seen fans from a lot of other clubs now starting to take notice of the information they're getting.
I want to see them come on the show, mate. They need to come on the show and drop some bombers and drop some
They're
scoops.
always welcome here.
Always
they know
welcome.
That.
Always welcome if you're watching. But it's just fantastic. And if we can get a Tonali over the line alongside a Mateus Fernandes, Then you're talking about a complete regeneration of the midfield. You've already seen the regeneration of the defence. And to be sitting here before the end of June, Van Hecker over the line, 50 million. Mateus Fernandes over the line, 85 million. You got Robertson and you got Senesi through the door as well. You got proper Prem proven quality all through the door already. So this is shaping up to be some sort of fantastic window, isn't it?
What, 5 signings already, and it's not even July.
Yep.
If you include Dubravka as well. Yeah, so it's madness, isn't it? Tottenham are moving mad, aren't they? I think you have to say at this point in time, obviously we have to wait to see where the window ends. But at this point in time, the Lewis family, you know, they said very much in their postseason stuff, actions be louder than the words. We're going to invest. They were very adamant on it, and the proof's in the pudding at the moment. They're putting their money where their mouth is. That's the reality, and I think this deal more than any, 85 million, you know, for a player who's just been relegated. You would think, oh, you know, you can get some money off all this kind of stuff, and you know, shouldn't be paying that amount of money for a player who's just got relegated down to the Championship. And a lot of clubs, well, one big club did walk away. Most clubs would have walked away and bulked to that price, but they have clearly had discussion with Zerby. He's clearly been very, very high on the list. And even though it's a very high fee, they've put the money on the table. This is not a deal that Levy would have done by any stretch. Daniel Levy would have waited and would have known that West Ham are probably going to sell him now they've been relegated. He would have waited to the last week of the transfer window and tried to get him for like 50 million or something, or would have walked away. That's how it would have happened. And yeah, yes, we've paid a lot of money, but we've got him over the line. And I think the Lewis family deserve a lot of credit for putting their money where their mouth is and releasing the coffers and getting this deal done. Because I know there was a lot of talk about 85 million, but I really didn't think we would be paying an 85 flat fee. I thought it was probably going to be like, I understand there's a lot of reports we were prepared to pay, you know, 80 million or whatever, but I thought it was going to be, I really thought it was going to be like 75 or 70 plus add-ons or something like that. And that's where the deal would go. So the fact that we've agreed an 85 fixed fee is a monstrous fee, and we're breaking our transfer record, but it just goes to show the willingness from the hierarchy. So credit to them.
Actions speak louder than words. We all laughed when we heard it. And now we're signing Mateus Fernandes for 85 million, a player in his last year of his contract for 52 million, and we're in talks to sign Tonali to break the £100 million mark. So actions are really speaking louder than their words right now. So full credit so far on this transfer window. I want to see it continue. It can't stop here, because let's say if this is the last signing of the window, then it still hasn't been a great window and we still have a lot more to do. So the train needs to keep rolling, people.
Well, I think we've done these early because we've got more to come.
Yeah,
that's wild. You know, it's not even July. As I said, the window's only technically been open for 2 weeks. So I think we've moved early. We've moved with precision because I think we realize how much we have to do and how much business has still to be done. So, I think definitely there is going to be more to come here. I could already hear Daniel Levy typing on his phone to Simon Jordan about how West Ham have had our pants pulled down. I can hear the ferocity in his texting. Can't believe they paid 85 million. I should never. Oh, West Ham are laughing all the way to the bank. I can't believe it. I can't believe Spurs have paid that much. I would never have done that. That was the last week of the window job. I wouldn't have paid more than 45 for him. Can't believe Spurs have done that.
Should we ever have really been in doubt, though, Sim? Should we ever have really been in doubt in this one? Because this is the history of the West Ham. You know what I mean? They go down, we take their best players. This is how it goes. You know what I mean? They didn't even go down last season and we took one of their best players in Mohamed Kudus. We just took Mateus Fernandes. They went down, we signed Defoe. They went down, we signed Canute. They went down, we signed Scott Parker. This is the history of this so-called rivalry. Michael Carrick, you know what I mean? This is what happens. This is the loving relationship between Tottenham and West Ham. They want their players to stay in London. They send them to a better place in Tottenham Hotspur. This is just the way it goes.
Fernandez, it's now become a tradition, I think. Fernandez joins a long line of players, a long illustrious line of players who have just gone to pastures new and taken the upgrade from West Ham to Spurs. And and to be honest, if you look at most of the transfers, most of them turn out really well for us. How many flops have there been in there?
I don't think any of them. I don't think any have been flops.
The only one you can maybe say is, I don't know, maybe Canute, but he was quite good for a bit.
Canute was sold too early, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was a good player. But other than that, they've all actually been really good signings for us. So look, maybe Fernandez is next in line.
I mean, Defoe's considered like a legend at this club. Scott Parker ended up being our captain and player of the year. Mohamed Kudus was our best attacker last season until he got injured. So all of them, I think, worked out well. And the quite poetic thing about it is that if you think of the Michael Carrick situation, he joined us to use us as a stepping stone for Manchester United. Now Fernandez is rejecting Manchester United to come here. Well, not rejecting, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He come here instead of Manchester United. So
incredible how things have changed. But I think this is really the first time, I think it's fair to say, that we've used our financial muscle up against a bigger club than us. Because I think we've done it before up against, maybe a Villa or Newcastle. We've gazumped them to, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm sure we've done it to other clubs, smaller clubs, or maybe clubs even, looking to compete with us. But when was
like
that? When was
Gray, Brentford, all these.
Yeah, those kind of deals. We've done it before, but when was any time I can, off the top of your head, you can remember that Spurs have used their financial muscle to win beat a bigger club than us to a transfer? I can't remember off the top of my head.
It's not happened before. I mean, we all like to say it about Xavi Simons and Chelsea last season, but it wasn't really that. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can say it with Xavi Simons and Chelsea because they didn't really have the money to stump up what the team were asking for. But
yeah,
I think this one even more. This one even more because Manchester United were proper chasing him. I don't know how serious the
exactly. I think Xavi was like down the list for them. He was always a bit of a backup option, whereas Fernandez, he was their number one target, wasn't he?
Bergvall, he could have gone to Barca.
Bergvall, yeah, but that wasn't. I don't know if that was financial muscle. Maybe it was. I think this is the first time I've seen Tottenham blow a team bigger than us out of the water financially for a transfer. I can't remember ever that happening.
I think it's just crazy the way things work out because a year ago, Mbeumo joined Man United over Spurs. We had Champions League, they had no European football. And now Fernandez is coming to Spurs and not going to Manchester United, and we have no European football, and they've got Champions League football. It makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense, does it? You can't quite kind of understand why it flips the other way, but I think last summer, one of the more important things as well in those deals, as much as they had obviously Champions League and everything, but they were willing to pay more money. That's just reality. They're willing to give higher packages. There's rumours. I don't know who was part. I think it was posted by ESPN. Spurs are willing to pay Fernandez 150 grand a week. Sorry, 250 grand a week, which is that would make him our highest paid player. That would indicate a massive increase in the wage structure because I highly doubt Fernandez is going to be our highest paid player. Surely not. So you would think
at this moment in time he will be, and
no, he will be now. But by the end of the window, I'm sure he won't be.
I mean, obviously they're looking to bring in Van der Ven probably on a similar wage or a bit higher if they give him the new contract. I'm not sure what Porro's been given on his new contract. Maybe he's something similar. But, I mean, it would be nuts for a 21-year-old, not even in the Portuguese team for the World Cup, to be our highest paid player right now. That would be nuts. Yeah. And a bit over the top.
Yeah, if it is true about the 250, that is. Maybe it's something like what we heard about Tonali, like it's going to be 200, and if we get Champions League, it goes up to 250. Maybe that's what it is. Or maybe it is 250. But yeah, him coming in, I think for me, if it is true about the 250, I think that's evidence of the wage structure massively increasing, because I think that means a lot of other players are going to get wage increases. And I think as well, you have to go to the standing in the squad. That's kind of how you judge the wages. And yeah, whoever our captain is going to want probably pay parity with that at least. Or any new signing who's going to come in and be a star signing is going to want similar to the 250. So if that is true, that goes to show that they're also keeping their word about the wage structure massively increasing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at West Ham's wage structures. Mateus Fernandes on 60k. I mean, surely. I mean, I think what's probably right to do in terms of where he should be is double his wages, 120, with maybe incremental wage increases or a review in a year's time to see where he's at. I mean, if he really is on 250, I do think that's a bit too much.
Yeah, but that's probably the thing is that's probably what United offered, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we had to blow them out of the water. I would say, yeah, I would say 250 is crazy again, but if Spurs are committed to waging upping this wage structure, I wouldn't take. I think 250. I would be surprised. I would really be surprised if it's 250. I wouldn't be shocked if it's close to 200 though.
Even that, I don't think it should be. He's 21 years of age. You know, he needs to have room for progression in that wage. And if he's already on 250,
I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if it is. I'm just saying if it is 250, I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it's near 200.
I think maybe United might have been able to go to 120, maybe a bit more. But I think the main thing is Spurs blew Man United out in the transfer fee. Man United weren't willing to match West Ham's valuation. So I'm not sure how much more in wages that we even offered above Manchester United. I'll be shocked if it's 200 even. I think 180 at max.
I wouldn't be shocked because I think maybe Man United were really wanted him, and I don't know how much they're willing to pay. But we know that Spurs blew them out of the water. I think both from wage packet and the transfer fee. So yeah, I think I wouldn't be shocked if it's near 200, but I would be shocked if it's. Well, I guess 180 is near 200, but I would be shocked if it's 250.
Yeah, but in terms of how he fits into the team, I mean, he's someone that we're just calling out for in that midfield, isn't he? Like the guy had to he must have 4 lungs on him, a bit like Decky was back in the day. You know what I mean? Just non-stop running, non-stop hassling, non-stop harrying. He's got that passing ability as well. We finally got someone in the middle that can actually play a forward pass. He looks so kind of press resistant at times as well.
Yeah.
And players hassle and harry him, and it seems like he's got no right to take it past the player or win the ball back, and he always seems to do so whenever I'm watching him. So he's a player that we just haven't had that profile for so long in the middle of the park.
Yeah, he's someone. The reason we've been crying out for someone like him is I think out of all the midfielders that we got, very few of them are that comfortable receiving the ball in the middle of a pressing block or with their back to goal with a player. A lot of teams go man to man, right? That's what Zerby said that in his first training session. It's common knowledge that these days off the ball, a lot of teams go man to man. And what Fernandez offers is someone who's just strong in his ability to hold on to the ball while being pressed, while under pressure. And also able to turn with it, able to wriggle out a situation, as you said, and that's so valuable. No, it's not only so valuable because we don't have one, but also it's really valuable because of how Zerby likes to play and the centre backs we've just gotten. So we've got the 2 centre backs who are the best at finding those passes, and now we've got one of the players who's one of the best at receiving it in those situations. So all of a sudden you're starting to see where we're trying to get as a team. And you look at all the midfielders we got: Paulinho, Bentancur, Bergvall, Gray, Sarr. None of them are particularly comfortable. Maybe Bergvall's the most, but even him isn't that. I can maybe Bentancur, but none of them are particularly comfortable in those situations to an elite level. Some of them can do it some games, but not others. Inconsistent with it. Whereas Fernandez, he seems to be really, really comfortable in those situations. That's where he really likes to operate. And it's going to change our midfield completely. It's a bit of a game changer in that aspect, because when last season, or even before that, when you've got midfielders who aren't comfortable in those situations receiving the ball with their back to goal and with strength, then it completely changes the way you have to approach the game. It means you have to go more maybe out wide, or the midfielders in the middle have to play a lot safer, or the centre backs don't feel as comfortable playing it to those players, so they go in different directions. But when you got someone there, it's why I don't want to say he's as good as this player, but it's why Moussa Dembele was so important to Spurs, because they just knew in any situation they could just give it to him. Doesn't matter how many players they had on him, and he could progress the ball. Now, obviously, Fernandez has to prove he's at that level to even make that comparison. But to a smaller extent, we now have a player we can give to under pressure and trust him to wriggle out of a situation and progress the ball forward and open up the game. Whereas we just haven't had that, which has always meant we've always struggled to open up that midfield whenever we've had the ball. and we've had to go different directions. And I think Zerby is going to absolutely love him. There's a reason why I think it was one of his priorities to get him in. It's a midfielder we just needed to up that technical ability, and we've been crying out for someone like him for so long, and now we finally got that man. It's going to be so interesting. I'm so looking forward to how Tottenham are going to be on the pitch now.
Next up, Sandro Tonali, man. Imagine those two in mid. That could be our starting midfield next season. Can you imagine? Sandro Tonali and Mateus Fernandes starting for Spurs the year after we just beat relegation on the final day of the season.
Yeah.
How is this the world that we're living in?
You know, that what an engine room that would be, married with brilliant technical ability. Put Zerby as their coach as well. All of a sudden, it's a scary prospect. It really is. And I think teams aren't going to like to play against us because those two players, physical, they've got unbelievable stamina, great engine, but also really technical. And it's kind of like, I felt like the midfielders we've had have either been, they've not really been super technical or super physical. They've kind of been a bit mid in both. And so now we've got two players who are really strong performing in both, which is what's really needed now in the Premier League. You look at the best midfielders, they've got really strong technical and physical, and that's something we've just been lacking for so long. So if we can get Tonali now, obviously he's going to be next on the list. But I'm back to when we were first linked with Fernandez a few weeks ago. We all heard, oh, Tottenham are interested, but obviously United ahead in the queue and all this kind of stuff. I was thinking, yeah, this is probably a deal which is this is a story designed to quicken up Man United and get them to put money on the table to scare them. Never really at that point did I think Tottenham would actually move ahead in the queue and gazump Man United to him. So I think it's just a great day for Spurs fans to have one over Man United, get a brilliant player through the door, and actually as well, it just gives a lot of fans a lot of hope of what the future could bring now, and actual real tangible evidence.
I'm just buzzing that we're able to get this over the line. Maybe we should. What are you bringing in?
I didn't bring anything.
Maybe we should just, chill out for a little bit, because we saw 2 Here We Goes last summer that didn't get over the line.
Actually, no, Eze never got to a Here We Go, did it?
Did it not? I thought it did.
No, Gibbs White did. I think Eze, we were like waiting and waiting. It was always like nearing agreement, and then it just never happened. I don't think it ever got to a Here We Go. It was close. Everyone was saying it was pretty much done, but we never got to the Here We Go stage, I don't think. But Gibbs White,
I've been waiting for a week for a bomber, man. I've been calling bomber every day. And finally we bloody got one over the line. It's got to be Tonali pretty soon after this, though. Like new financial PSR year starts tomorrow. So let's hope.
So maybe West Ham did want it done before the 30th.
Maybe they did.
Which is maybe that's what it is.
SZY says this is a play that we've been tracking for about 3 years.
So we should have got him before we went to Southampton then.
Maybe Johan Lang really is cooking.
Maybe there's something there. Do you reckon he spoke to Fernandez, or he left that to Zerby?
Yeah. The Zerby pull, man. The Zerby pull is unbelievable. The ability to bring players in that have European football on offer. Not even just at the clubs that are interested in him, but their clubs that they're at. You're talking about Senesi, European football next season with Bournemouth. Van Hecker, European football next season with Brighton. You've got Fernandez, who could have gone playing the Champions League next season. And they're all going to be playing at Tottenham Hotspur next season, 1 game a week under Zerby. It is
the Zerby pull, man. They should have relegated us. They should have relegated us when they had the chance.
I'll tell you what, this is the most ambition. We've never shown ambition like this when we've actually been in the Champions League. But this is what we always said about Spurs. We never show our strengths from a position of power. We kind of sometimes flex our muscles when it's from a position of weakness. And they've been scrambling around because we've nearly got relegated last season. And that rang alarm bells in the higher-ups, in the hierarchy behind them. But we need to we need to keep on this ambition for this window. And then when we're in that position of strength, I don't want to see us slow down. I want to see us keep going for it. Keep going and be that club we all know we can be.
I was watching a bit of West Ham Fan TV before we went live, and they all seem pretty happy that they've got 85 million. They said they were asking, have we fleeced Spurs? Have we got one over on them because that we've spent all this money on Mateus Fernandez?
I'll tell you what, they have fleeced us. They have had our pants pulled down. But if they want to look at the financial figures and be accountants and, you know, just talk about money and stuff, then fair play to them. If that's what they want to grade as a win, then, you know, fair play to them. They can go sign their who they're going to sign, bloody some championship players. They can sign the best players in the championship. For
Barry Bannon, I don't know, Barry Bannon.
Yeah, you know, who's that Welsh striker that's always moving around in the championship?
The Welsh striker is always moving around. I don't know how Robson Carter.
Yeah, they'll probably sign
Keeper Moore.
You know what I mean?
Get Lee Casimir retirement. Jeff Schlupp. I'm sure Jeff Schlupp is available.
If they want to, you know, exactly, they can maybe give Kyle Walker-Peters a nice bumper contract. Who knows? But they want to stick to their accountancy business. You know, by all means, stick to your accountancy business. But we're going to be seeing products on the pitch. That's what we're going to be seeing. We're going to be seeing Spurs shoot up the Premier League while you're trying to get back into the Premier League in the Championship. So sure, have our pants pulled down, take our money, but we'll take your best players. And this is what it's all about. It's all about having the best football players on the pitch. It's not about having who's got the most money in the bank account.
So for you, like, is it, do you, when you see a deal like this happen, and as we've mentioned about the hierarchy, we're all laughing when they said all these words. So are we starting to think that maybe there is, you know, they are genuine in what they were saying?
Look, there's two ways that it could be. It could either be they're genuine, they really want to take Spurs on to the next level, or it could just mean they absolutely shat themselves last season with the prospect of losing all that money in terms of going down. And they know to stay in the Premier League, to get that European football money back, they need to make a heavy investment. I think right now, both things can be true, but we'll see in the coming years, like I said, when we get back into Europe, how this club act. And if they carry on in this kind of style, if they carry on in this vein, then we'll know where the real ambition is at. But right now, after nearly getting relegated last season, it's hard to know. It really is hard to know.
There's one thing, heavy investment, and there's one thing putting a deal like this on the table, isn't there? Like, because, you know, we didn't have to do this deal. This deal is a pretty mad deal to do under the circumstances, the amount that we've paid and the players that we've got.
It's crazy what people do when they're under pressure, Sim. Like, they nearly got relegated. It's not like we finished mid-table. Mid-table would have been a disaster. We nearly got relegated.
I understand that. But still, you know, getting the number one choice, you know, for Roberto Zerby by hook or by crook, doing whatever is necessary to do to get him in, shows something to me.
It's true. It does show something, but also you got to remember how they're backed into a corner by hiring De Zerbi in the manner that they hired him. Like, they couldn't not do this for De Zerbi, particularly in the first transfer window. Like, let's say we would have stayed up under Igor Tudor when we signed De Zerbi at the end of the season. Would they have still have done this in this kind of manner? I don't know if they would have done. And I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Right now, it's all positive. And right now, it's looking like we're showing ambition for the first time in a very long time. That's what it's looking like. All I'm saying is, are they doing this because of... Are they doing this because we nearly got relegated? Or are they doing this because they want to get us up there fighting for titles and fighting for Champions Leagues and fighting for this kind of stuff? Well, that will be shown in the next summer transfer window, hopefully when we're back in the Champions League or back in the European competition. I
think they're just doing it because that's what, you know, that he's De Zerbi's number one guy, and they want to show that they are willing to invest heavily and backing the manager. That's the message they're sending out here. Like, we're even though, you know, they could have gone to Serie A and got a midfielder for 40 million. I'm sure he might have done okay, or we could have gone to a different club, a different player who, you know, wasn't as much competition for him, and still got him. And maybe we would have been, you know, justifying it some other. It's not saying Fernandez would have been the only player, right? who we could have gotten, who would have been good. Obviously, we know there's a whole host of football players out there, but the fact that they went to Fernandez, who Man United were in the front running for, they put their balls on the table financially and said, we're going to pay the fee, 85 million, even though it's a crazy fee. And even Man United are not even going near that fee. They're not touching it. We're going to pay it. We're going to pay the asking price and get your number one target. That just shows to me there's a real willingness to back De Zerby. That's the most important thing. Like, in terms of ambition, do they want to be winning the league and stuff? Obviously, every club wants to do that, but it's all about how ambitious you are to get there. And how much how much you're gonna trust and give trust and backing to the manager, and doing what they've done with this transfer is a signal. Now, obviously, we need to see how the rest of the window develops, and look, maybe something will happen with Tonali, we won't get him, or maybe we'll go for someone else. But for the fact that for me that they put this money on the table that's a signal of intention for me, that they're backing this manager. And I really hope the rest of the window goes the way we all want it to. Let's hope we get Tonali. Let's hope we get the wingers we want. Let's hope we get a striker that we all want. But there's what to me looks like is that they're willing to invest and they're willing to put the money down. They've done it twice now. They've done it twice with Van Hecke and with Fernandez. When years gone by, not in a million years would we have paid these prices for these players. Not in a million years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. And look, I agree with you. I do agree with you to a certain extent, but I do feel like it needs to be done over a prolonged amount of time, and not just one transfer window just after we've nearly got relegated. So I want to see it over a sustained amount of time. But I agree with you. The signs are very positive. The signs are extremely positive to what we've seen so far. I did say to you, you can't really judge these the Lewis family and all this kind of stuff until they've had a summer transfer window at least. And obviously this is their first summer transfer window, and it's looking positive. Obviously, we're all very angry in the January transfer window and how that panned out, but you can only really be judged on the summer transfer window because that's when the majority of the business gets done. Yeah. So it's looking positive, and people always said, "Oh, Levy's gone now. Look what's happening. You're nearly getting relegated and all this kind of stuff." Well, the first summer post Levy ain't going too bad, is it?
No. As of June the 30th, couldn't have expected much better at this point. This must be a record number of transfers at this date for us, surely, by far.
Probably. I mean, when we signed those 7 players before we sold Bale, I don't know when they're all in by.
Well, Bale only left on the deadline day, didn't he? No, but yeah. we signed them all like over the summer, but they were not this early. No chance were they this early.
So you're looking at it as well. The players are due back in what, 2 weeks at Hotspur way. Tonali, if he comes in, and Fernandez, no World Cup, comes straight in pre-season. No messing around. You've got Van de Ven and Van Hecke. Are they going to come straight back in? They're out the World Cup now. They're 2 weeks.
No, they'll need a break. Yeah.
How much break do they need?
Probably 3 weeks.
So they'll come back, a week later? They'll be on the tour, though.
Yeah, they should be on the tour. But I think they're not going to come back with everyone else, no.
I think the only ones that are going to have, that could miss the tour, maybe Spence, if he goes far. Who else is going to miss the tour? Senesi, maybe.
Well, Romero, obviously, but yeah. He'll probably miss it. Huh?
Romero probably won't be a Spurs player by then.
He might be. I reckon that one might rumble on till late in the window. What a feeling. But yeah, I think Romero. Who else is there?
Porro, that's it. Yeah, Porro.
Yeah, Porro. Yeah. Which is important, I think, with De Zerby's first pre-season. Everyone getting up to speed as quickly as possible.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, more to come, people.
Yeah, but I'm going to say, before the tour, it's mad because, clearly there's a clear intention of getting players early. De Zerby was saying that at the end of the season in his press conference, and we really want to get early signings. Clearly, they're trying to make that happen. But we also have these attacking signings to do, don't we? So I wonder in these next few weeks if we can, prioritise Tonali and get that over the line, how quickly we start seeing names coming out about those kind of players.
Where does it rank for you, that midfielder? We spoke about it a bit before. I want to know you guys in the comments as well. If we had a starting midfield of Fernandez, Tonali, and Maddison, and you can switch Madison and Javi, where does that rank for you in the Premier League in terms of strength of midfield?
Is it better? It's probably not better than Caicedo, Enzo, and Palmer, is it? So there's probably, you can rule that out.
They're about to replace Enzo with Xhaka.
I mean, yeah, true. But we'll see. Well, at the moment, that's what it is. Is it better than Rice, Zubimendi, and Odegaard? I mean,
I
you
think
could
it
make
is.
a case for it. You could make a case for it. I don't know.
I think the only one of those players I would want in my team is Declan Rice. I don't think Zubimendi or Odegaard get in that team.
Yeah, it just depends on Maddison. What kind of Maddison we're going to see next season? He could be, if he's back to his best. If we're saying it's Maddison back to his best, then yeah, I wouldn't really take Odegaard over Maddison right now if he's back to his best. But he's just had an ACL, so we have to see. But let's just say it's Maddison, at his best, just for argument's sake. Is it better than now you've got it? Anderson, Rodri, and Cherky, I guess you say.
No, that's better. That's a better midfield. That's a better midfield.
Yeah. Man United, let's say at the moment, apparently they want to sign more, but at the moment it's Ederson, Kobe Mainu, and Bruno.
Bruno gets in for sure.
I think I'll probably prefer Tonali and Fernandez to Ederson and Mainu.
They want Fernandez, don't they, to play
exactly.
I'm taking midfield over them.
I would take, I'm taking Tonali over Ederson, and I'm taking Fernandez over Mainu probably. So, although true. Who else you got? Who else? Liverpool. You got Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, McAllister, or Wirtz.
I think Gravenberch and Szoboszlai both get into our midfield. Liverpool got a better midfield than us. And
you'd probably say maybe Wirtz potentially is probably better than Maddison after a year. You'd like to think. They would like to think anyway.
Liverpool.
Probably definitely. Liverpool. Villa, you got Onana, Tielemans, and Rodgers.
Rodgers gets in. Rodgers gets in. Not the other two.
Newcastle, obviously, they wouldn't have Tonali, would they? They would have Joelinton, Bruno, and at the moment it would be Ramsey probably.
Bruno Guimaraes gets in. None of the others.
And after that, I mean, you're looking at maybe Brighton, Baleba. Who else they have in midfield?
So basically, what I'm trying to tell you, I think genuinely it could be the third best midfield in Europe in the Premier League. You
definitely put it in that top five, wouldn't you? Compared to where we were, with those two midfielders, basically it just changes the game. We'll go from probably a bottom half midfield to a potentially top five one, and that just goes to show how much of a game changer these two signings would be for us.
Mm-hmm. I think defense is looking locked and loaded, pretty good. If we get Tonali in pretty soon, then it is just the forward line that we need to strengthen.
Which is always the most expensive part, but yeah.
Yeah, but they said they're going to show the ambition. Keep showing the ambition. We need that forward line sorted. We need it.
If we're going to keep spending, though, there's going to have to be some sales surely in the offing soon, you'd think.
There will be. We know there's going to be sales. We know Romero's going to go. We know Vuskovic is probably going to go for big money. Bergvall potentially is going to go for big money. Sar's probably going to go. Dragashin's going to go. There are so many players that are going to go. So
I mean, all those players could potentially be near to 200 million that you're saying there.
Yeah. So we heard there could be a net spend this summer of £300 million.
So right now we're at 150. No, we're at 130.
130 with Tonali, it'll probably be around 230. Savinio will take it around to close to the £300 million mark.
Yeah, but then let's say we get at least £150 million in sales. You got another 150 million.
Exactly. So the future's bright. The future's lily white, people. Mateus Fernandes through the door. Hopefully Tonali next, and then maybe a Savinho, and then who knows? Spurs are splashing the cash like there's nobody's business.